Okay, so I'm about ready to start painting the figure, but I had to have this leg that I sawed off. I was just using this as a test piece. So I worked with different techniques. So you know, I primered it first, and then we had the rust layer. You can see the red, the rust layer that was put over top of that, and then I put a chipping technique. And then I painted it with a blue, and the blues, you can see there's the gray and there's the blue. This blue is too light for what I'm going to do for the final version, but for the test it was fine. And then I brushed off the chipping, and I actually brushed off too much. So this tells me from practicing with the technique that I want to leave more paint on and see less rust. So that was a good for the test. So that's the chipping technique. And then I did a little bit of a pin wash here with an oil to make it look like it's, you know, three-dimensionality, like the oil is collecting in the little spots here. I'm going to do that. I like the way that looks. And then I had some pigment. Where do I do with my pigment? Where it's just a modeling pigment. This is a medium rust. And I actually brushed that in here on the top, and that made some darker areas. I might use that very sparingly, but what I did like is mixing this with a rust enamel and then just brushing it on. I don't know if you can see that, but in this area right here, it really looks like it's got a three-dimensional, it's crusty and rust, and that I really like a lot. So that was with my test leg. Now, this is the foot that I sawed off. I may or may not be using this in the final diorama, but I do have this as an option. So this is another test piece. So the first thing I did is, you see it's all wrenched off here, and at the top I want to see this rust. So I did the dark rust, and then I went back with I did the dark rust as a spray with the airbrush, and then I went back with a paintbrush to all the edges, and I did it lighter with this lighter shade of rust orange. So and I don't want that, because if this was wrenched off, there wouldn't have been any paint on that tip. So I don't want to have any blue paint get on that. So I went through with this masking fluid. So I stuffed it with tissue, you can see, some napkin, and then I painted every place else with this masking fluid. So now when I spray it, when I shoot it with the airbrush, I can just peel that off, and you'll still see that rust that's exposed. For this area here, I want to have, this will all be blue, this would have been painted, but at the little joint here where it flexed, I want that would have been like a chrome or a stainless steel kind of a look. So I just hand painted a little bit of the silver over top of the rust there, and then I'll mask that and shoot everything blue, and then take that masking back off, and then I'll put in the combination of the pigment with that for like the darker rust, and have that darker rust in here with just a little bit of silver peeking through. So I think that's going to look really good. So that's where we are as of right now, and we'll just keep you posted.